We talked in the past about the word Kaizen, right? This Japanese word that means small improvements, overall quality improvement, right? Efficiency improvement. Small things make a big difference, in other words.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
And welcome back to the program. Dustin Harris hanging out with you. Another mini-sode. I want to share with you a concept that, if this doesn't come up every time I do a coaching session, I would be surprised, actually. I really am serious about that. It doesn't matter what the topic. When I'm one-on-one with another appraiser, another business owner, this or some version of this comes up every single time. I want to pause here, remind you that we are sponsored by ANow software. ANow, of course, is the software that I use to manage my appraisal office. It's a small thing, and we're going to talk about small things today, but it makes a big difference on my business. It will on yours as well. Please go to anow.com/coach for more information. Again, it's anow, anow.com/coach. All right, folks, let me just give you a hypothetical, but it's based in reality. When I am in the process of coaching other appraisers, I find that it is not uncommon, in fact, it's very common, that I will make a suggestion and the answer on the other side, and by the way, I don't blame anybody, I do the same thing. It's very natural. It comes from our thousands of years of evolution. We like to protect what we already know. We hate change. We've talked about change extensively on this podcast in the past, right? But this all plays into this answer that I often get. And I'm going to call it an excuse. The excuse that I hear quite often, again, I'm as guilty as anybody else, is, yeah, but it's such a little thing, it's just easier for me to do it. So you can imagine what the suggestion is if that's the answer that follows. Or, yeah, I know I should probably change that, but I just don't really have time to go back and fix it at this point. Or, I'm so used to doing it that way at this point, I don't really see why changing that's going to make any difference. I want to talk to you today about this concept, and I don't have a fancy name for it. I probably should come up with one, right? It would make me sound like a much cooler coach if I had a tribal language title for this particular concept, right? I just don't. But the idea is that small things now make a big impact on your business. Let me give you an analogy that I've used here before, and I am not the one that came up with the analogy. And I don't even know if Wally, hi Wally, shout out to you in California, came up with this analogy either, but he was a member of my dream team in Salt Lake for years. And he came up with this analogy that I loved and I've used in my coaching over and over and over again. So thank you for this, Wally. And again, I know I've shared it here before, but I think it fits with what we're talking about today. And it's this analogy of riding a bike down the road. And if you have a problem with the bike, it's very difficult to fix the bike while you're on it, right? You're riding down the road, but we keep pedaling because we think it's going to take too much time to stop, get off the bike, fix the problem, get back on and start pedaling again. But if you think about it, folks, it's going to take you far less time in the overall picture to fix the bike now than to continue with the problem. I want to give you another analogy that I think it came from Stephen Covey. At least that's where I heard it first. But I want to do so after the break. I want to pause here and remind you about the little things that will make a big difference in your office. Folks, I know you're going to look at ANow software and you're going to say, Dustin, really? I mean, I'm looking at a monthly fee for what? A spreadsheet to keep track of my orders? Oh, folks, it's so much more than a spreadsheet. By the way, I thought that same thing. It looked like a little program when I first looked at it, and frankly, I put it off. It wasn't until I took the demo that I started to open up my eyes a little bit, and it really wasn't until I started using A Now that I realized what I had been missing. Folks, it is so much more than a spreadsheet. So much more. Folks, I want you to check out A Now software. I want you to find out how it can manage your entire appraisal office. You can find it by going to anow.com/coach. One more time, it's anow.com/coach. Well, we're talking about small things that make a big difference. Okay, small things now that make a difference in the future. The Stephen Covey story, I think it comes from Abe Lincoln, if I remember right. And who knows whether these stories actually happened or whether they're just, these myths that continue throughout the years. But the idea is sharpening the saw. Okay, and the idea is if you have 4 hours to cut wood. Again, I'm doing this off of memory, but Abe Lincoln said something to the effect of, I would spend the first 3 hours sharpening my saw. The idea is you can spend 4 hours trying to cut, and you're going to be less effective than if you take some time to sharpen the saw. By the way, this concept can be used a lot of different places. I use it with regard to R&R, rest and relaxation. I, on a very regular basis, take time for myself. In fact, today I have golf clubs in my trunk. When I get done here, I'm going to go play 9. No, I'm not very good, but it is some R&R that will help me to be more efficient. And by the way, I have a lot on my plate today, but I believe in sharpening the saw. With regard to your business, what is it that is keeping you stuck? What is it that every time you do it, you think, not a big deal? I'm going to give you an example from an appraisal. This is a real life example. Okay. The other day we were in a staff meeting and we were talking about efficiencies. We were talking about little things that can improve the process. And a hand was raised, and one of my employees said, I've got an example. There is a word that is misspelled on the template for the 1004. It's actually a word that exists, so the spell check doesn't pick it up, but it's there. And I notice it and I change it every time I do an appraisal. And I said, okay, so you change it every time you do an appraisal. How long does that take? Oh, well, just a couple, not even a second. Okay, yeah, really? But it takes you time to think about it. It takes you time to go there. It takes you time to highlight it. It takes you time to delete what's there and rewrite the word as it should be. I'm guessing it takes at least 5 seconds every time you do that. Oh, Dustin, what's 5 seconds when you're talking a 3 or 4 hour appraisal process? Not much. But when you do the type of volume that we do in my office, those 5 seconds add up. We talked in the past about the word Kaizen, right? This Japanese word that means small improvements, overall quality improvement, right? Efficiency improvement. Small things make a big difference, in other words. Folks, I turned to this person, I said, will you please, when you get back to the office, open up the template, change that word in the template, and you'll never have that problem again. And the answer was something to the effect of, yes, but I haven't done it because it takes time to do. Folks, how often are we doing this in our day-to-day? We're inefficient, ineffective, we're slow because it's not that big of a deal. It just takes a couple of seconds to change. Or I'm not going to delegate that part of the appraisal process because, hey, you know what? I know I could, but I'm just used to doing it anyway. Had an opportunity to mentor an appraiser the other day, and we were talking, and this appraiser does a lot of private work. And we were talking about where he spends the bulk of his time. And I asked the question, where are you worth more? Okay, what part of the appraisal process is worthy of your time, your dollars per hour? And he said, well, it's not the inspection, but I'm out anyway, I might as well keep doing it. That's what I'm used to. Now, folks, this is a person who has a trainee in the office. By the way, a trainee that has not been around 6 months, but if I remember correctly, it was at least a year. This trainee knows how to do an inspection. But because the appraiser's out anyway, he's still out there doing the inspections, even though that's not the best use of his time. And so we talked about this small change makes a big impact on your business concept. And I made the challenge to him, and I have not followed up. We've not had a follow-up yet, so I don't know if he actually followed through. Hope he did. But I made the challenge that he starts shifting more of that private work. Maybe not Fannie Mae, because Fannie Mae, a lot of the clients don't allow that or don't want that. Fannie Mae has no problem with that, by the way. It's the clients. But this idea that he should shift more of the inspection side to a trainee. Again, it's a small change, makes a big difference overall. Some of you say that's a big change, and I guess in some sense it is. What is it that you're doing in your appraisal office, your business, that seems like a small thing that you may be repeating over and over and over again that really will make a big difference if you'll nail it down, if you'll fix the problem, if you'll stop the leak before it becomes bigger? Folks, these are the types of things that I can help you with. And I do so every month in the Appraiser Academy. The Appraiser Academy, folks, is everything that you get in the All-Star team, plus, this is key, time with me and other appraisers every month in a live interactive meeting. We get together, we talk about your business, we talk about concepts that will help you to be more efficient and more effective. Now, there's a cost involved. Okay, go to my website to find out what the cost is. I'm not trying to be elusive, but that cost has changed recently. So depending on when you listen to this, it may be different, okay? But you can go to my website and the investment is there. Folks, I use that word investment on purpose. It's not a cost if it brings you more than you put in, and it will in both your time and your money. It's the Appraiser Academy. It's on my website, theappraisercoach.com.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.